And Gates, great decision. She's had a couple of swings that have been off. That time tips it into the opening.
You can see how both teams are trying to establish the middle early. That puts pressure on the block. That opens up some seams and allows you to go to your pin hitters, and they don't have just a huge wall to hit into.
You have to wonder, is Catherine Plummer still thinking about the one that just hit her? I know I would
her
be.
Her neck is a little red for sure.
They finally get a swing for her as the block sends it right back. She'll get another try. Kerber keeps that one alive. Free ball to Stanford. Gates again, this time a great angle and timing on the slide.
Great set. Gray puts it in the perfect position. You can see Gates has all the options. She can hit it down the line or wait on it and come around and hit it sharp cross. And as a defender, it's so hard to read because the approach is the same.
Megan McClure, the junior, with the serve. Grace in the middle on the block, waiting on her, and Stanford regains the lead.
You see Plummer coming in and helping on that quick set in the middle. So it's a double block. That's
now you're
very
team in a
tough
row
to get past for Grace. She's got a huge wall in front of her.
Allowed you to be this successful.
Good combo in the middle with Gates and Plummer. That's some size up there for Stanford.
You've had to grow into more of a leadership role this year with a lot of young guys on this team, but you look like you're just having a great time out there with everybody cheering them on from the bench. How much fun has this been for you?
These past several matches, and it kind of started in the Bay Area. A five-setter at Cal that didn't go their way. Five-setter at Stanford. And Coach Lanier told us, eventually you just have to figure that those types of matches are going to help us not hurt us.
Doesn't take any game lightly, but just what kind of confidence does this kind of win build for you guys?
They're not intimidated by anybody, and you get through enough matches in the Pac-12, and you just know it's going to be a fight.
Thanks for your time.
That's what Utah's shown this season, is they are ready to fight, and I don't think they have gone more five-set matches in this season in their entire program history.
Yeah, Amy, I'm intimidated. Zoe Wetherington, her third kill straight down as Plummer gets a little too much on that one, and it will go to Utah. Both coaches talked about the middle situation and how they had both struggled early on and that they have both improved. And you were just talking about that they're trying to go to the middle a bit early in this one to get them going. Kerber and couldn't get herself set. Too much behind that. It goes back to the Cardinal.
Well, look at how close this first set is. Both these teams just trading side outs. We haven't seen a big letdown where one team is just not, brought it and then a huge string of points. And so it just shows that these are solid, good teams who can play consistently over time.
Off the block, Plummer gets a hand on it to save it. And a free ball to Utah. Kerber on the other side and enough on it to get the kill.
Right now, Utah playing great transition volleyball. They're digging well, getting that ball up to the net, but then they're putting it away at a really high level. Great setting from Torres. She's making great decisions.
Second kill for Kerber. Here's Megan Yett back to serve. Sophomore. Plummer. Asking for a touch, not going to get it. It just goes wide. Plummer coming off of a solid weekend. They just got her back. She had missed 10 Pac-12 matches out with a hip injury. And she's 100% now. Tries to tip. Drews. Joust at the net, and Jenna Gray able to win it. Jenna Gray, the 6'1" senior setter. She is so smart at the net.
Setters always win a joust. They're coming up. You always want to push late and push second. And Gray, so good. You can see how she waits for Grace to make the first move and then comes back.
She is such an impressive two-time All-American, the setter of the year in the Pac-12 last year. Drew's got a hustle, and she gets there and good. Utah will take it right back.
That's an amazing shot from Danny Drew. She didn't have much to do with, like you said, she had to speed up her approach. It wasn't quite ideal for her, but using that left hand, she's able to push that down the line, and that's so hard to read. You don't see very many outside hitters that are lefties, and so the defense isn't quite used to how she's approaching the ball.
Fitzmaurice, good patience by her. Drews had to hustle, trying to dodge the block, and instead goes wide. It'll go right back to Stanford. Danny Drews just getting her 1,000th kill of her career and her second season in a row with over 500 kills. Only Adora Nye has been able to do that. Here's Plummer. Drews off the block. Fitzmaurice, great angle. Good hustle by Utah, and somehow they save it. And a back row attack against Stanford, and this crowd loving it and on their feet.
Terrific effort. I think Stanford thought that ball had fallen, but the scrappy defense for Utah is somehow able to keep it alive, and then that ball goes right on top of the net. And because Danny Drews attacks and Jenna Gray was trying to save it, she's
matters. For Utah, they know they're still a bubble team somewhat, and they're important for different reasons. For Stanford, there's a title on the line as well in the Pac-12.
Right. I think for Utah, obviously they should be in the tournament, but they are definitely a bubble team as far as hosting the first and second round. And to host as long as you can in the tournament is so important and really helpful in helping you get to that Sweet 16 or Elite 8. And right now Utah playing like they have nothing to lose and are going for it.
You're absolutely right. Kevin Hambley wants another timeout with a 5-point Utah lead here in set one. Utah hitting .214, and Stanford not in the negative, but not in the positive either. They are at 0 right now as far as hitting goes, so they have just not been able to get the attack going. And it's interesting because Kevin Hambley told us, he said, this team without Catherine Plummer had to become a little more of a defensive team to create some transition, and now they've incorporated Catherine Plummer back in, but they're still having a tough time. As we look at the RPI, this RPI number will be key down the stretch.
Right, it's one of 3 different things as they decide how you're going to be seated in the tournament. Obviously, Stanford would love to keep that top 4. They'd love to host a regional, and so they want to take care of business and finish out to put them in a position to do that. For Utah, right there at 16, they definitely have a chance to host those first and second rounds, which would really help them. But you've got BYU just about 40 minutes south in a similar position, and so that's going to be a critical matchup to watch, because if those 2 teams don't host, they very well could face each other, and neither one want to do that because they're both very, very good teams.
You are right. Yeah, the top 16 teams would host at their home floor. Last year, Utah, perfect example, not up there, but BYU was, and Utah had to go to Provo, and they ended up losing to BYU in the second round. BYU made it all the way to the national semifinals, and they actually faced this Stanford team, as Stanford got the win and went on to win the national championship. With almost basically everybody back for Stanford, it's still tricky, though, the expectations, and you've got to juggle so many things, and then you have the injury to one of your key superstars. They've had a lot of change, as Kevin Hambley said. They had to kind of reinvent themselves this year. Fitzmaurice right at Yet. Drews, and the block puts it down.
That is a big block right there for the Cardinal, because you talked about that transition offense and Utah winning that stat. They've been playing great defense and they've been able to get a kill off of almost every single one. And so to step in there and have Fitzmaurice shut that down just shows that Stanford's defense is still up for the challenge.
Hence, good hustle, gets the tip, and Fitzmaurice off the block and good. Fitzmaurice is a player that Kevin Hambley told us he wanted to try to match her up with Danny Drews on the other side, and that play prior to that one was the reason why she and Campbell able to get the block.
Right, at 6'6", Fitzmaurice, a big block. She's very smart. She's the player that at the end of the last match where these 2 teams played, just really, you could, even Coach Lanier said, I saw a look on Fitzmaurice's face that made me worried. She kind of decided she was going to finish it off. She had 4 of the last 5 points and really got that win for the Cardinals.
Oh, she absolutely did. And that's where I feel like experience just can carry you so far. Back set to Fitzmaurice, and that set was perfect.
It was, and even though it didn't go all the way out to the antenna, it was such a good push kind of away from motion that you could see that the middle blocker for Utah, not even close. Oblad had to stay with her hitter, and that opened up a huge seam for Fitzmaurice.
Stanford back within 3. Kate Plumrico in to serve. Weatherington. Block got a piece of it. Gray takes that ball over. We can see it from our angle. Tougher to see on the other side. And Stanford chipping away at the deficit.
She was waiting on that ball and kind of surprised that it took its time on the net. But the defense for Utah was back on their heels, and so not aware and not able to pick that up.
Oblad off the block and good. Utah will get it back. The slide has been very effective so far for Berkeley Oblad and the Utes.
And as that pass continues to get up to the net for both sides, then we're going to see that fun offense where everyone can be involved. But as you start to struggle in the passing lanes, the middles get taken completely out of the offense.
Serve from Windish, a deep one. And McClure, tool on the block, takes it right back.
Such a smart swing. Megan McClure didn't have to put a ton on that ball, but perfectly placed as she just uses the top of the hands, expands the court out of bounds.
McClure, an AVCA All-American honorable mention last year, one of 6 All-Americans on this Stanford team. Utah with 3 All-Americans. One of them just came flying in out of the back row, Danny Drews.
And we talked in the open about how important Danny Drews is to this team, and you can see right there, she is everywhere on the floor. She passes a ton of balls. She's one of their best servers. And out of the back row, she's a fantastic offensive weapon.
Plummer, oh, great decision as she goes up. Looked like she was going to take a full swing and then just trickles it down.
Well, and most people, when they decide they're going to tip, you know, the ball goes up and down at this arc. Watch this ball. It is not, there's no arc. There's no way you could pick that ball up. So tough to read. Great tip from Plummer.
Kerber coming back over, and Kerber gets another chance and gets the finish. Kenzie Kerber, 3 kills for her. Junior out of Chino Hills, California. And got the finish. First team COSIDA All-Region just recently named. Not a lot of first-teamers, just a handful in the Pac-12 Conference as the joust is won once again by Gray.
You got to feel for Grace right there. You can see this time almost on her back. She's trying to push through it, but Gray, so strong, so smart. She's used to this.
6'1", gives great size at the net also as a setter. She's very athletic and a very good server. Give her 19th ace on the season. Stanford pulls within 1.
It's a nice serve down the line. Sometimes it's really hard to pass when the serve is coming straight at you. It's a lot easier where you have more time when it's cross court. And right now, Stanford just attacking sideline to sideline.
This time, the Utes let it go long, and so it'll go back to Utah as Oblad comes back into the front. Bree Dorman goes back to serve. Dorman with 7 digs already in this match. Trying to get to 10 to move into second place all time for Utah as the swing on the far side is good for Fitzmaurice.
Fantastic save from Jenna Gray. So great to have a tall, athletic setter that can save those balls that in any other gym would be an overpass that you give the ball away. She's able to turn it into a kill for her team.
Yeah, very good point. Kerber, but Hintz with the dig. Wow, what a pickup. And this time, Kerber says, I'm going to go a different direction. I don't blame her. I'd keep it away from Hintz also.
And Kerber just showing she's got a lot of range and she's developed a lot of different shots. And as a hitter, you want to be able to, hey, somebody takes away your favorite shot. You've got 5 more that time.
And again, the net play winning out for Stanford.
That's a big point right there for Stanford to get within 1. Here we are, the last 5 points of this first set. And last time these guys played, it went 5. So obviously every single point matters. And that was a very good net play win for Stanford.
Drews off the block and down. And it's set point number 1 for Utah. Big key for the Utes coming in, Coach Lanier told us, is that they have to be in system, and you can see the difference in this one so far, Amy. When either team's out of it, it's hard to get that point, as right back to Stanford is Gates.
Beautiful play, and you talk about in system, that's a perfect example. Good pass from McClure, allowing the perfect set to Madeline Gates.
Set point number 2 for the Utes. Formico to serve. Drews out of the back, tip too much under it. McClure, and that one goes long, just barely. And Kevin Hambley's up. I think he's going to grab the green challenge card, and yep, he will take a look. Going to look for a touch on that one. It was close to being in as it was, but was there a touch? That's the question, and will they be able to see it?
To get those transition kills, and right now Stanford's struggling to get that going. So look for them to really kind of find their groove in this second set.
Yeah, very good point. I have a feeling Stanford's going to try to go to them immediately and get them incorporated here in set 2. And smiles on the faces of the Utah Utes, and for good reason. It is not easy to take a set off of this Stanford team. As Jenna Gray will step back, get ready to serve. 6th in the nation in assists per set. Over 5,000 career assists for Jenna Gray. Set 2 underway. Back set to Wetherington, and she catches the back corner for the first point of the set.
If you watch Utah, they love to go to Zoe Wetherington when she's on that right side of the court because she is so good. She hits the ball so well. She could probably play opposite because she just really approaches the ball well from that angle.
Fitzmaurice down the line, self-defense from Sage. Free ball as Plummer tries to tip it over, and the block right there. Utah up 2-0.
That's set really tight. The block there for Utah. Plummer trying to tool the hands out of bounds. Just kind of pushes the other way, and Utah on the board quick.
Serve from Yet just trickles over. Bump set to Fitzmaurice. Dorman. Yet out of the back. And they're going to call her on it as I don't know if she was quite ready for it, but they can go to Megan Yet out of the back, but stepped on the line.
You're right, her approach definitely looked like she was not prepared for that ball.
And here's Catherine Plummer, senior, 2-time National Player of the Year.
Great serve.
Drews out of the back, and that one even works.
Look at how relaxed Danny Drew is. She struggles on that pass, which for most people would kind of tense them up a little bit and definitely affect her approach. She gets up out of the back row and hammers that ball to get the kill.
She started the play and then was able to get herself back there.
Maybe that was just a set me dig.
Maybe. Go to her again, hard off the block, Hintz. And the Cardinal right there as Kerber was waiting just in case. Almost a little too close.
Well, I think Kerber should have probably not reached over the net, just waited for that ball. She could have been called.
3-point Utah lead. Yeah. Ooh.
No need.
Yeah.
No need to do that.
Don't even try it. Back set to Fitzmaurice. She has such a powerful swing. And they're going to call Kerber with the lift as she was trying to send it far to the back corner.
I think she's trying to set it, but also be a little tricky. And when you're setting, you really can't pull that off.
Back set to Kerber. Block got a piece of it, but it drops. It'll go back to Utah. Kinsey Kerber. She'll go back to serve. Kind of good to go back to her in that sequence where she's had a couple of errors or almost errors. and show that you've got the confidence in her.
Well, and I think she's making good choices. She's swinging high. She's not trying to go low seam, and she's finding a way to get it through the block.
Free ball to Stanford. Gray outside to McClure, and the block was waiting. Oblad as well as Sage Ka'aina-Torres.
And there's a reason it is called a free ball. It means if you get a free ball, it's a free point. You've got to be able to transition and get that ball. So a huge block for Utah to step in and steal that one from Stanford.
And that was all Sage. Solo block for the sophomore setter out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Norman saving that one. And Drews off the block and good. And Utah extends to a 5-point lead here in set 2.
And the transition offense from Utah is fantastic. A terrific up from Bree Dorman that they're able to turn around and find a way to get a point.
But timeout called by Kevin Hambley and Stanford. Utah up by 5 here in set 2.
Creating opportunities and then converting them.
And out of system was Utah. Coming right at us, and Stanford putting it away.
Great timeout and 2 quick points from Stanford to get right back into this set.
Yeah, after Kevin Hambley, it's exactly what you want to see. Get a timeout, regroup. Sage tries to take that second ball over. Drews comes flying in and just goes long, and now Stanford right back in it.
Well, it's almost like Utah feels a little tight all of a sudden out of that timeout, like they're pressing a little too much, feeling like they've got to go while the going's good and not allow Stanford to wake up.
Formico, tough server. And Drews again, big swing and well off the mark in that one. And Stanford pulls within 1.
Well, it's interesting to see Utah kind of come out of that timeout and feel stressed and pressure, because what had gotten them to that point was being calm and waiting and playing good defense and transitioning. Now they're feeling like they've got to press and swing and get that first ball kill.
Drews rolls that one over. Back set to Plummer. The block was there, and it's down and good. And Utah needed that one. A momentum shifter or builder for them.
You could feel Stanford kind of starting to get a little more comfortable. Great serving from Formico to get them back in.
Yeah, Stanford is such a strong serving team. Gates on the slide. And second ball over by Sage. Oblad, slide, back at you, says Utah.
Torres, again, moving the ball around. You can see her shooting the ball to the antenna with a pretty good pace on it, which puts pressure on those middle blockers and opens up seams.
And a service ace now for Utah as they're tightening up the serve. That was Danny Drews. That's her 32nd service ace on the season. She's the best on the team. And a substitution is going to come in. Kendall Kipp, a freshman at 6'5", out of Newport Beach. 10 and white for Stanford. Gray tries to take the second ball. Oblad right back at her. Great hustle by Dorman. Senior libero. Gates on the slide. Weatherington. Kipp with the tip. Oblad. Powerful swing, play still going. Great dig and hustle from the back of Stanford's back line. And a lot on that one from Kipp, but it goes long, but net violation on Utah.
What a point. How fun was that? If you are watching this incredible display, the athleticism on both sides. Terrific up from Dorman to save that and keep that going. Formico had another great dig in the backcourt.
Defense getting it done on both sides. Oblad. And the block just waiting. I don't even know if she cleared that one, but either way, it'll go to Stanford.
I think she was trying to go really low seam, but there was no seam available. A terrific block. Nice move laterally from Gates to get over and shut that down.
Good serve from McClure. Drews, give her another one. Her 12th kill on the match.
And you can see how well Utah runs this back row quick. A Bick out of the back row. It's so fast. It's an in-system play. It's very tough to defend against, and then when she puts it in that corner, that's going down anytime.
12 kills for Danny Drews. Win to shin to serve. Plummer had to take some off, and Kahaina Torres frustrated with herself.
Well, so smart. Plummer's got every single shot there is, and she makes great decisions just using that ball out of bounds.
Coach Kevin Hambley said she is so reliable. She's such an incredible volleyball player all the way around. It hasn't taken much for her to get the muscle memory going, and a miscommunication as it was an impressive dig to even step in front of Zoe Weatherington.
And what a swing. She was able to unload on that ball cross court. A great up from Formico, and nobody around to get that ball.
Plummer. Joust at the net. Utah gets a chance. A tough angle by Kerber, and it goes wide. It'll go back to Stanford.
A really tough play. You can see Kerber didn't have much time to get off the net, had no approach really, and had to try to hit that, keep that in play. Stanford really has come back after a slow start in the second set to start to build some momentum.
Kevin Hambley, Pac-12 Coach of the Year last year, making adjustments as they go. Drews out of the back, and it's good. Both of these coaches talked about the coaching, and especially when you get into the second half, you're seeing teams for the second time, you've got to make adjustments, and they're doing it literally every single play.
Right, it's so fun. Both of them, both the coaches have said just how great it is to play in this conference with so many wonderful volleyball minds. And every time they step on the floor, they're just looking at the other teams like, hey, I like what you're doing there. That looks great.
Hard up the block, back to Utah, and Drews with a kill. 14 kills for Danny Drews and counting.
What a swing. The angles that Drews is able to find are unbelievable.
There's a powerful swing and a much needed one for Stanford. Fitzmaurice getting it done. How about 7 kills for Adriana Fitzmaurice and no hitting errors, Amy?
Right, and when you've got a huge seam like that, that's so fun for an outside hitter. Great set for Jenna Gray to set up her outside.
Grace in the middle has to tip it. Bump set to McClure. She's got to hustle. And a net violation called on Stanford. It'll go to Utah.
That is unfortunate for Stanford because the control on the Utah side was really breaking down. They were forced to give an overpass.
Oh, I think McClure caught it going as she went up the bottom part of the net, and it looks like Kevin Hambley is going to challenge this one. I initially thought
about
maybe
it for
not.
Sure.
Yeah, never mind. Green card put away.
Nice set.
And McClure gets the touch, and Stanford takes it back. McClure getting some emotion there.
Right, and a terrific set there from Plummer. Perfect position, allowing McClure a ton of space to hit into, kept her off the net, allowed her to use that block.
Serve from Hentz, and the tip down by Oblad. Berkeley Oblad.
It was a great pass from Kerber. You could see she's definitely a serving target as Stanford trying to go at her, and they're finding her even though she's way over there on the line, but nails that pass, allows Oblad to stay in system.
Her 5th kill on the match. Gray, the back set to Fitzmaurice, and nobody in that spot.
You know, it's so hard. You could see Oblad kind of shake her head because she's got to stay with Gates. That is her hitter, and so because they're running it 3 feet away from the setter, she's got to stay with her there, but then they shoot it so fast back that she has no hope of getting over there.
Tough timing for the service error and Formico. Fitzmaurice, though, 8 kills, no hitting errors for her, hitting .421 as Utah will take it back.
So are you saying that maybe Utah should kind of shade over there in that opposite position on the block?
I am saying that Adriana Fitzmaurice is very good. That is what I am saying. As they're able to work that one off the block, and McClure will go back to serve.
And for Utah, with this 3-point lead, they're in a position where all they have to do is just maintain their side-out volleyball. And if they can continue that, as we get closer to the 20-point mark, they're still in very good shape.
Miscommunication, it looked as though, and there's Plummer getting the touch. Catherine Plummer, just her 3rd kill on the night. Stanford within 2. Weatherington hard off the block and good. Good sign for Utah getting the freshman going early. You said it earlier, she's had some slow starts. Not the case really in this one.
Just maybe 2 swings and she's warm.
6th kill for Zoe Weatherington. Kinga Windisch back to serve. Back set to Gates. Drews out of the back, and what a tough angle, straight down.
Wow, how do you defend that? So fast, so quick. What an angle for Danny Drews. She is really finding her rhythm, especially on that back row quick.
Her 15th kill of the match here in set 2. She's hitting 370. Plummer trying to tip it off the block, and does. And there's that smart play of Catherine Plummer you were talking about. She reads the game so well.
She's so smart. Such a great volleyball player who has the IQ to match the physicality, which is very rare. She has got all the power and all the brains as well.
Sydney Wilson back to serve. Weatherington. Too much on it.
She kind of got caught behind her head there. And this is where Stanford has got to make a move. This is the moment for them to work their way back in. They can't wait any longer.
Wilson, a junior out of Toronto. Deep serve to Kerber. Grace on the slide. Plummer off the block. We'll try it again. The bump set, and wow, she just throws that one down. And Stanford pulls within 1.
You can see Coach Lanier contemplating a timeout. Yep, there she goes. Definitely wants to talk about it. Drews is a very smart play right now, because you can bet that Utah's going to go to her if they can.
Tough serve, the ace, and ties it up. How about out of the timeout? Sydney Wilson, her 10th service ace on the season.
Terrific timing on that serve, and she's going to try to serve into the area for that back row quick, that bick that they want to get to Drews. Stanford wants to disrupt that. A great job from Torres to figure that out.
Yeah, that was a deep serve. I thought they might let it go, and instead it was up to this player here, Sage Ka'aina Torres, the sophomore setter. And she took that second ball over. Great, doing the same thing, and there's a miscue in the back row. Tied back up.
Game to 5, exactly what you practice day in and day out are these last 5 points. Both teams want to be in a position to be in it at the end of the set, and here we are.
Jenna Gray serves it to Drews. Outside to Kerber, and there's the block, a big block for Stanford, and they take the lead.
And what a time to do it for Stanford. That set a little tight to the net, and a big block in front of you with Fitzmaurice. Very tough to pass.
Second block of the night for Adriana Fitzmaurice, and the 4th for the team. Grace, that was a tough one for Sage. A big swing by Zoe Weatherington, and it goes wide, and now Stanford is up by 2. Beth Lanier says, let's call the timeout.
All right, the pass definitely needs to settle down for Utah. Great job for Stanford to really come out, and that comeback of theirs, it was fueled by very tough serving. They really laid down their game plan, were able to find the hitters they wanted to target.
Assuming a lot of match left in that Washington-Arizona matchup also. Arizona has had a little bit of a tough season, but they're a team that Kevin Hambley said he was so impressed with what David Rubio, the head coach, was doing with that team the last time they faced them, things that they had never seen done before. So we'll see if Utah has an answer out of this timeout, if they can break this serve. And the pass again, off the mark. Drews out of the back. Plummer with the tip, and it works. Catherine Plummer starting to find her game, 6th kill.
And it starts with the serve there. Again, Utah forced to give an off-speed ball, allowing Stanford to transition that for a kill.
Lauren Sproul, who's checked in, gets the pass. Weatherington off the block. Fitzmaurice, tough angle. Drews out of the back. Fitzmaurice with something on that one. And it's set point number 1 for Stanford. What a turnaround here in this set.
What a swing from Plummer. She makes great decisions on when to go for it. Has just a little bit of blue sky through there and is able to attack and get that kill.
Gray serves it to Drews. Out to Sproul, off the block. Sproul again. Plummer, Drews, digging it. Can she get up and finish? Bump set to Drews out of the back and gets enough on it to stay alive.
Utah finally shutting down that huge run that Stanford was able to put together at the end of this set. And a well-timed kill, but maybe too little too late for Utah.
Set point number 2 with Megan Yett and the serve. Plummer, the tip, the pancake by Dorman. And they're gonna say no, it was down. And there won't be a challenge on it. Set 2 goes to the Stanford Cardinal. Utah held on to the lead the majority of set number 2, but what happens when you get into Pac-12 play, and especially in the second half of play, just a couple of weekends left in the regular season, and you got a couple of ranked teams, Amy, and wow, is this fun or what?
So great to see both these teams really utilizing every player on the floor in every aspect. You saw the serving kind of really pick up in that second set specifically for Stanford, and we'll see who can win that battle coming out.
Catherine Plummer immediately gets involved and give her another kill, her 9th on the match.
Nobody around. Plummer hitting over the top, hammering that ball to start this 3rd set.
Senior out of Southern California. Back set to Kerber, and right at McClure. They go to Plummer again, and why not? That's what she's capable of.
It's like she was just warming up those first 2 sets. Didn't take a lot of big swings. Those are the 2 hardest swings we've seen her make in this match entirely. She had kind of been more off speed, kind of chippy, and then finds her big hole in the block.
So Utah gonna challenge this one to see if it maybe missed the line and went wide. And our down official gonna take a peek. Ronald Pelham. It had quite the angle. Whoa, it might have. The line judge called it in right on top of it, but that one looked like it may have gone wide, Amy. Sometimes it's so tough with the shadow to tell.
This is just when I'm glad it's not my job.
I'm with you on that.
So I think slowing that down, to me, may have looked like it was right on the line. Oh,
boy,
man.
I don't know. I don't know.
Where did it bounce is the question. Can you? Oh, man. That is close.
Yeah, it certainly is. I kind of think it went wide.
You know, either way, that's a really good challenge, I think, for Beth Lanier early, because you could see, obviously, Plummer, wow, is kind of taking it to another level. And for Utah, they want to stop that quickly because they know how fast she can get on a roll and how Stanford can roll. And then you look at the scoreboard and you're down 6 points. Yes. So a very smart play, I think, for Beth Lanier, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, very good point. Plummer with 10 kills. She's come out immediately and given Stanford a 2-0 lead. Here are the review rules that you can take a look at. The net faults, player touching the ball, ball in or out, service football. And each team gets 3. We've already had 1 for Stanford. And they're going to call the ball out. So a very good challenge for the Utah Utes. And that will tie it up, 1-1. Unless Ronald Pelham changes his mind. Yep. He's sticking with it.
There we go.
All right then. So tied up. And that does change things. That will give you a little different feel.
Right. For Utah, another chance to kind of come back and see what you can do behind the service line to try to disrupt the offense for Stanford that's just starting to kind of find their groove.
Beth Lanier making sure it's Bree Dorman who's supposed to be back serving, and it is. Perfect pass from Hintz, and a quick one to the middle. And Campbell, and the block was there, but not quite tight enough, and Danny Drews gets the kill.
Drews coming in, and it's so tough. There's that lefty again. You could see at the last second, Plummer realized she was maybe a little too wide setting up that block, but couldn't move in time.
And the pass well off the mark, and a break for Stanford because Utah was in the net.
Well, I think Drews went up and took a crack at that ball, and it wasn't there, and so she missed and hit the net.
Tied up 2 apiece. Set to Kerber, rolls that one over. Great hustle and effort by Adriana Fitzmaurice to get a hand on it, but could not save it.
Such a smart play from Kerber. You can see a ton of space open as Hentz is back, waiting for the hard-driven line shot, and the off blocker nowhere around.
Another kill for Kinsey Kerber. Her 6th on the match as Holly Campbell, the sophomore middle, gets involved. Her 2nd kill.
Campbell being very smart as well to keep it high, hit those high hands, and try to use the block.
Tied up, 3 apiece. Good pass. Oblad on the slide. Good job by Plummer to get a fist on that one. Stanford reading that dump. Plummer out of the back. And did they let it go? They're going to say they did. And it just goes long. It'll go back to the Utes.
Again out of the backcourt and just missing. Wow, that was very, very close. Utah maintains their lead.
McClure begging for a touch, looking to their coach. They'll say, yep, there was. And it ties it back up.
But the serve, you can see Utah doing a nice job on the serve to disrupt that offense a bit. The outside hitters for Stanford stepping up out of system to get that ball down regardless.
Serve from Formico. She serves it to Alexa Van Komen, who's checked in, the defensive specialist, as Wetherington sends that one flying wide. And now Stanford with a 1-point lead.
And I think for Wetherington, kind of being that in-system play, and you can see it with Kendall Kipp as well. So good on that perfect pass, that perfect play, but adjusting is something that as a freshman, it's really tough to continue to make those decisions on when to swing.
Well, she figured it out there, but it started with Van Komen, a great up, the defensive specialist coming in, and then Wetherington with the finish.
Beautiful, hard swing, cross court.
Hintz couldn't get out of the way. As Windish will come in.
I like how you say get out of the way instead of dig it.
Oh, that's what I meant, yes. And the block puts it down for Utah, and they'll regain the lead. For me, it's get out of the way.
I'm right with you there because that's exactly how I feel.
Wetherington with 7 kills. Here's Windish and the serve. And a nice up from Formico. McClure rolls it over. Out of the back, and Plummer says, I was trying to get it to you up front.
You can see on that particular play just how good Plummer is on the beach as well. One of the best beach players in the country. She's got such control on the floor, and Stanford can't quite pop that up.
Yeah, you'll see her set it quite often. Just, it's not really much about this game she can't handle, as there's Jenna Gray over her shoulder finding an opening.
Jenna Gray makes great decisions on when to call her own number. She is 6 for 8, hitting .750. She knows exactly when to dump and to pick the spot.
There's not much Jenna Gray doesn't do, as Utah hanging on to a 1-point lead. And service ace for Megan McClure, her 22nd on the season.
Terrific jump float. You could see the bottom drop out of that ball right as it crossed the net. It just sinks to the floor. Perfect execution.
I like the jump afterwards from McClure, as she got pretty excited about that one, and for good reason. All tied up. Drews out of the back and drops that one down.
You know, it's interesting how for Utah, their first option is going to be Danny Drews on the pick out of the back row. That's how good she has been when your back row attack is your primary option. Such an amazing player is Drews.
Her 19th, excuse me, on the match. Plummer, the tip. What placement by Plummer.
Just the control from Catherine Plummer. Everywhere on the floor, she makes it look so effortless. Always thinking, has such a great court awareness.
And it ties it up. Sydney Wilson with the serve. And a quick one to Grace. Plummer gets the touch, gets the kill.
And McClure again out of the back court. She's a great 6 rotation outside because you see that she's so integral in the defense as well. She passes so well, plays incredible defense. McClure is definitely an asset for this Stanford team that probably doesn't get enough credit.
I think you're right. Stanford has regained the lead. And there's Wetherington sending it to the back row. Utah will tie it back up.
You know, it's interesting to see how emotionally these teams have been able to stay so steady. I mean, obviously, Utah feels like they let that one go in the end of the second set, but for the most part, as you trade points back and forth, that requires just an emotional intelligence and consistency that is really tough to maintain.
Jenna Gray, once again, calling her teammates up, saying, I've got this.
Yeah,
she's just padding her stats right now, Amy.
She's going to be in double digits by the end of the night.
And she goes back to serve. One-point Stanford lead. Stanford continuing to serve tough, and I don't even know how Phoebe Grace got that one over. Punched that one up. Utah with another chance. Hintz, big dig. Her 10th of the match. Fitzmaurice, what an angle, straight down.
Terrific set again. Jenna Gray so good at finding her hitters and putting them in the best situation, locating the ball, in the perfect spot. You see Fitzmaurice always seems to have just one-on-one situation, and that's because Jenna Gray is slowly developing an offense to really highlight these hitters.
Drews got the pass and got it back, but sends it long, and now Stanford extending their lead to 3 here in the third. And it's quieted this crowd a little bit.
I think the service game for Stanford, they've really picked up the pressure, and it's starting to rattle Utah a little bit that they are out of system so much.
That's a perfect example right there. The pass not on the mark, and it doesn't allow you to get it set up. And Plummer, a big finish, puts it down.
And talking to Coach Hambley prior to the match, he said, we've kind of changed a little bit our identity, where we were this big side-out team, first ball kill. Now we've kind of adjusted into more of a transition defense, transition offense team. They've worked on their defense all season long, allowing them to stay in rallies and to finish off points.
They are on a 4-0 run. Yeah, really changing the identity a bit, especially without Plummer. Miss Fitzmaurice tried to go down the line this time. Dorman was there. There's the block and a dig again by Dorman. Drews had to take some off. Hence to Plummer and the block for Utah. They needed that one.
What a rally. You could hear the crowd just dying to get involved in this match. And that's another option for Utah. Bonus, as you continue to fight, you get the crowd. That helps you a little bit, helps that momentum.
Kerber was there, Phoebe Grace as well, and tough timing for Bree Dorman and the service error, as it just would not make its way over.
So far, though, both teams really doing an excellent job in the service lanes. Obviously, you're going to miss a couple here and there when you are taking chances, and you've got to serve tough against both these offenses because they are so powerful.
Oblad. She was busy earlier, haven't really said her name as of late. And a lot of that has to do with the passing, as not able to finish was Holly Campbell.
See how quick Stanford is trying to go out of transition. They've got so many players on their second step already, and that's going to try to find some seams in the block, but also sometimes when you move fast, it's very tricky to, you're really opening yourself up to more error.
Cardinal with a 3-point lead, and it sends Kerber back to serve. Fitzmaurice at Oblad. She got a piece of it, but could not save it. Yeah, it's Stanford that makes it to 15 first here in set number 3. We'll see if the Utes can regroup.
Utah attacked right out of the gate. They've settled down a little bit, and you could see Utah struggling to find that same fire that they had in the first set.
And right out of the timeout, a tough serve, but a big swing and a souvenir for a fan in the stands.
Amazing. Danny Drews having a night. 20 kills, hitting close to 400. Just an amazing job. We're barely in the third set, and she's already cracked the 20-kill mark.
She's coming off of back-to-back double-doubles at Washington State and at Washington. She had 22 kills at Washington State as the block by Utah starting to heat up. She had 19 kills at Washington, that 5-setter that they were not able to get the win in.
Right, the 5-setter.
Yes.
We're barely in the third. She's had an incredible time and serving well as well. I spoke way too soon, but an incredible job to kind of disrupt that offense initially to set up that block in the last play.
So it'll give it back to Stanford, up by 3.
Formica, one of Stanford's best servers. This is an opportunity for them to kind of open up their lead a bit.
Oblad off the block and good. The slide worked early for Berkeley Oblad. The passing's been off. They've not been able to go back to her.
Right, it's so hard. The slide is so great, but like you said, it is so difficult to run when the setter's off the net because it disrupts the entire approach, because part of the approach, you go around the setter, and if the setter's pulled off too much, you can't run that quick and you can't run your play at all.
Block back to Stanford, free ball to Utah. Wow, Wetherington, she ran into that one. Plummer out of system somehow, and a free ball to the Cardinal. Gates, too much on it, point to the Utes.
Van Komen saving that ball, an incredible dig from the defensive specialist. Amazing effort in some really tough swings that Stanford was giving Utah, and their defense stepped up.
Alexa Van Komen, the redshirt sophomore defensive specialist, has had some big plays in this one. Hadn't played a lot this season, as asking for the touch, but they're not going to get it, and Utah has tied this one back up.
Kind of fighting their way back in, and here again we see McClure stepping out, Kip coming in, as Stanford struggling to find that second outside hitter role and really get the antenna-to-antenna attacking mode.
Serve from Windish, give Kinga Windish a service ace. It's her 10th on the season. The senior out of Budapest, Hungary. And Kevin Hambley wants to cool down the Utes.
Talk about a momentum shift. Utah coming back, roaring in this third set. All the momentum on the Utes side.
You got soccer into the NCAA tournament, volleyball, just a couple of weeks left in the regular season, football, finishing things up also. We'll see if Stanford has an answer as Kip into the block, gets it sent right back. Grace, big save by Formico if they can get it across, and they do. Formico's playing exceptionally well as Wetherington misses the angle, and we are tied up once again.
So fast, you can see Wetherington wanted to just hammer that angle and just misses. I think it's going to come down to the passing lanes down the stretch. Who can stay steady to finish off this third set?
Serve from McClure. They go to Drews out of the back, and she's able to get the touch and point. And another kill, her 21st on the match.
And I think for Stanford, what they want to do serving is get the ball to Drews, but make her move to get her out of that approach that is so powerful.
Gates off the block. And Wetherington. Block got a piece of it. Plummer tools it off the block. Can they save it? A great effort by Utah, but they cannot do it. And once again, Catherine Plummer doesn't always have to have that big, powerful swing.
She just makes a good decision every single time she swings.
That one, a touch, they'll say. Kerber gets the kill.
Beautiful swing, because Stanford had executed perfectly what they wanted to do, and that was get Danny Drews on the ground, take her out of the approach from the back row. But despite that, Kerber's able to step in and get that out-of-system kill.
7th kill for Kenzie Kerber. Wow, Megan Yett tried to bring that one up, but too much on it. Catherine Plummer with the boom.
So much power from Plummer.
Jenna Grave with the serve. A quick one to Grace, and it works. Utah back up by 1.
Both these teams just trading side outs at this point as we creep closer to the end of this set.
Dorman back to serve. Morris hard off the block. Sage trying to get there as Drews sends it to Jenna Gray, and it's a free ball to Utah. Block for Stanford. Good hustle by McClure. Drews off the block, and Dorman was there. She's having quite a match. Plummer, too much, and what a rally and effort on both sides.
Both sides of the floor. You can see just tremendous defensive effort for just refusing to let that ball fall. Amazing coverage, and finally Plummer gets it done high off hands, and we are tied up at 20 again.
Big digs from both sides. Oblad with some authority. 7th kill of the match for Berkeley. Oblad.
A good pass again, perfect from Danny Drews, allowing Oblad to make her impact. She is a player that can really take control of a match if given the opportunity.
Over 1,000 career kills, just got her 1,000th at Washington last weekend. As they serve it to Hintz, and the finish by Fitzmaurice.
Jenna Gray is the type of setter that can take an out-of-system play and make such a fantastic set that her team is immediately back in system. And that is a fantastic shot right there from Fitzmaurice off the perfect set.
Oblad with the tip, Hintz diving and saving it. Drews had to wait. Big swing by McClure, and they'll say it was in. And now Stanford goes back up.
McClure just tattooing that back line. Critical point to put them up by 1.
Utah coming back out. We'll see what they can do. They've also got a pretty special senior libero on the other side, Bree Dorman. She has double-digit digs also with 14. She needed 10 to move into 2nd place, so she's 2nd all-time at Utah and has a very good chance of becoming the all-time leader as well. Those two putting on a show. Drews, Danny Drews, 22 kills. Pretty good show from her also.
Yeah, an incredible job from Danny Drews, and we saw in that 2nd set that Stanford just finished so strong. Not so in this 3rd, where they're trading points back and forth. Both teams right in this, fighting for this set.
Boy, a pretty pass, and somehow Fitzmaurice kept that one into that back corner. That one looked like it was going to go long.
Yeah,
and then
exactly, that's what I was thinking. You could see how it had a float on it and sailed. Looks like it was going out of bounds and just barely snags that line.
Adriana Fitzmaurice, 13 kills for McCo. With the serve, Oblad off the block, and good, tying it back up.
Well, and isn't this what you want to see, is these teams staying in system, passing well, stepping in when the match is on the line, when the game's on the line, and playing their best volleyball.
Very similar to set number 1. Here's the serve from Oblad. Big swing from McClure, and the touch is good, and so it's set point for Stanford.
With Danny Drews in middle back, look for her to get the swing on the big. So Stanford's going to want to go right at her and serve tough to try to take her out.
And Utah calls the timeout. It's set point number 1 for Stanford. It's very similar to set number 1 in this one, as both teams, this set, Stanford hitting 222, Utah actually hitting a bit better, but it's other little factors that are making the difference in this one. Both teams have gone on some pretty decent runs also.
Right, it's been very high-level volleyball. I think they're serving well. They haven't made a ton of errors. You're not giving away points. Every point has been earned, and hard-earned as well.
Kind of the motto for this Utah team this year has been whatever it takes. We talk about those 5-setters. They've had 9 5-setters in Pac-12 play. They've gone 4 and 5 in those. And Coach Lanier said, we'd rather be in it and be there than to get swept or just not even show up. So it's not been easy going 5-setters all year long. It's a long Pac-12 season, but they're learning and they're getting better in so many areas.
I agree. I think it's difficult for, us as humans to put ourselves out there and risk losing when you put everything on the line. But so far, Utah this season has gotten used to it. They're used to just fighting through whatever and not worrying about the scoreboard and just continuing to kind of play through it.
Yeah, she said this team really never gives up, and you've seen that for certain. Back to serve. It's Megan McClure at set point number 1. Trying to go up 2-1. Drews out of the back, and the block for Stanford, just waiting. You expected the Utes to go to Drews, and so did Stanford. And the Cardinals go up 2-1.
And what a time to finally stop Danny Drews, who has been unstoppable in that particular play.
Set number 4 for you right after this. Have a home match next week also with Oregon State. And then they hit the road for the final match, and that's going to be in Boulder, and that is not going to be an easy one.
Well, I think you make a good point. It's November, and their bodies are exhausted. Their minds are exhausted. They're still student athletes, so you're getting close to finals, and so anything can happen when you kind of go on the road for a long period of time. You've got to stay mentally and physically tough.
What a play by Stanford, as it looked like it was going to be a finish for Zoe Weatherington. Instead, Plummer with the tip. But it was a big dig by McClure to save it. Stanford continuing to serve tough. Plummer, every bit of that one, and Danny Drews feeling the impact.
I think it's clear that Catherine Plummer has found her rhythm. She has really just from the first set just kind of slowly worked her way better and better and better, and here it is, 4th set, and she's definitely found her groove.
And continued tough serving. Another service ace for Sydney Wilson, her 2nd of the match and her 11th on the season. And what a start here in set 3 for Stanford, up 3-0. And they've quieted this crowd. Drews out of the back, tips it up. Great diving save by Wilson, and a finish for the Cardinal. Everything going their way, but it's starting with their defense.
It is, and you can kind of feel that Utah a little off balance. For sure, Beth Lanier wants to get a timeout, try to regroup her team. As you can tell, Stanford just starting to roll a bit in this 4th set.
So we'll take a timeout as well. We'll see if the Utes can turn it around when we come back.
Let's have one more.
2?
Make that 2 more plan.
Sweetie?
Let us help with your plan.
We can do that.
Sounds like a plan.
Start a plan that flexes with yours. New York Life. Spending your days playing while still getting a check plan. Let us help with your plan.
Yep, every month.
Great. Sounds like a plan.
Start a plan that flexes with yours. New York Life.
A great start for number 4 Stanford at 4-0 over number 16 Utah. Beth Lanier immediately calling the timeout and says, let's start this one over again.
I think it's important to recognize that you have to be ready to play from the first whistle, because a team like Stanford can roll so fast that before you know it, you're down 4-0.
Yep, you absolutely are. And there you go. That's exactly what you're hoping for if you are Utah, and the timeout. Ice the server. Did you get the serve? You were a middle blocker, correct?
Yes.
At BYU.
But I was a middle blocker when middles got to play all the way around and pass in the passing lanes.
Nice.
It was a wonderful, glorious time to be a middle.
That's right. And there is Catherine Plummer. You know, I'd like to see, I would like to see, like they have in baseball, the pitching gun, the speed gun. I would like to see Catherine Plummer and Zoe Weatherington for Utah, and I would like to see how fast and how powerful these two are putting these things down.
But you're standing well behind them, not in front of it.
That's true.
Trying to dig it from right back.
That's right. Plummer, slow start for her, but wow, has she heated up. 19 kills, hitting .308. She was in the negative for the majority of the first couple of sets. Nice dig from Hintz, the all-time leader in digs for Stanford. It's Morris, Megan Yett. Drews had to tip it. Stanford and Plummer, and still well out of system, completely behind her, and still puts it down.
Yeah, that was a terrific up. A good set, way to run that down. And again, Jenna Gray getting her team back in system when how could you be more out of system? You're diving back into that back corner and you turn around an incredible set.
20th kill for Catherine Plummer. She has 10 digs as well, the double-double for the senior. And Drews, little hot sauce on that, a little collision between Fitzmaurice and Danny Drews. I think everybody's okay. We'll see what happened after this if we... Ooh, that always scares me.
I think it scared both of them. Danny Drews telling Fitzmaurice, sorry about that. You all right? Everyone good.
Both players all right. 6-point Stanford lead. Drews again. Hard off the block, and it came right back to Kerber, and everything going Stanford's way.
And I think it's important to see that this happens a lot when you play Stanford. A team can come back and fight with the Cardinal for a long period of time, but at some point it's just hard to keep going. Stanford wears you down with their continued pressure over and over. They're relentless, and at some point you break.
Drews off the block, and the diving save, the attempt by Plummer is not going to make it, so Utah will take it. Stanford had an incredibly difficult schedule, Amy, and you have to figure that played a big part. There was barely a non-ranked team that they faced in non-conference, and then you get into conference, and almost everybody's ranked also.
Right. I think it also is interesting as you have a team who was able to win the national championship and then come back and how do you make this year different when most of the players are the same?
Yeah.
It has to feel like a different year, but you've got to kind of up your game and develop a new identity for yourself.
Off the block, Fitzmaurice. Oblad with the punch to the back corner.
Beautiful spot from Oblad. All of the defense was sucked in towards the net, and she just punches it to the deep corner. Great heads-up play from the senior.
Her 9th kill, just one hitting error for Berkeley Oblad. Serve from Dorman. Plummer off the block and down.
It's amazing to see Catherine Plummer turn around and start inching close to 400 on her hitting percentage when she was negative for the first 2 sets.
Yeah.
Unbelievable turnaround.
3:26 on the match. Kerber in the middle, but the block right there. Holly Campbell, that's an area that Kevin Hambley said she's really improved upon, and that's her blocking game.
Well, I think her eye work for Campbell, she moves well laterally, is very quick, but this game is so fast that sometimes it's a big learning curve. She was very good as a freshman and is even better now as a sophomore at recognizing and being really fast on her decisions.
Tough serving continues, but Danny Drews able to get the kill and get out of the way of the block coming right back at her. And that one goes wide, so Utah will get to serve. Pretty pass from McClure. Fitzmaurice down the line. They'll say it hit the antenna, I believe. And yep, it'll give the point to Utah. And Kevin Hambley is going to question and ask, I believe, for a review. We'll see what he's chatting things over with Ronald Pelham.
It was a very tight set and a tough one for Fitzmaurice to get on quick. She really had to
seed as the block sends that one wide. It'll go to Stanford, and there's definitely an absolute chance that Stanford will be a top seed, but they're going to have to finish, and they're going to have to win out most likely, and kind of see what happens in the Midwest in the Big Ten as well. Oblad, hard off the block and saved by Stanford. Oblad tries to tip it, can't get it. Plummer out of the back and slices that one to the back row.
Yikes. 4 great options for Stanford. What do you do if you're a defensive player for Utah? Almost impossible to stop. Terrific swing from Plummer.
I stop, drop, and roll, Amy. That's what I do. I get out of the way is what I do. Van Komen sends it back. Oh, and just barely getting the fingertips on it. Madeline Gates, the grad transfer out of UCLA. What a great addition she's been, and to have her, especially while Catherine Plummer was gone.
I think Gates has been a wonderful addition because she brings that veteran smarts as she moves laterally. She's got great transition work as well.
I believe double contact, or a net violation rather, called against Stanford, so it'll go back to the Utes. Down by 7, they've dug themselves a bit of a hole. It's going to take some time as Gates looks on. Gates off the block. Wetherington off the block, and it ricochets right back at Utah.
The block for Stanford is really tightened up. You can see the terrific positioning from Stanford to really get that in. Fitzmaurice driving that right hand, pushing it back towards middle back so she doesn't get used.
Wetherington had to tip, and it's into the antenna. So Zoe Wetherington having a tough time as of late. She had gotten going earlier in this one, but the last few times not quite been there.
This one's starting to get away from Utah. They've got to kind of fight their way back in, find something to generate a little bit of a run.
And Wetherington taking care of business on that one. She needed that one.
I think the crowd needed that one. Utah needed that one to get some momentum back into this set as they try to fight their way back. They've got a big hole to climb out of, but we've seen how Utah fights and their ability, and they definitely have it in them.
Her 9th kill of the match. Here's Windisch with the serve. Second ball over by Gray, and a big opening, and it drops.
Jenna Gray, 8 for 10 right now, making terrific decisions, hitting close to 800. She has about all the different offensive weapons that Stanford has. How do you choose? There are so many people on the floor that can get it done.
Hits, pops this one way up. And a tough one to read as McClure sends it right back over. Phoebe Grace asking for the touch. Not going to get it. They're not going to challenge. Yeah, Jenna Gray, 8 kills, 44 assists and 9 digs. She's close to a triple-double.
Should probably tell her.
Yeah.
She needs a couple more. Yeah. Call your own number.
Gotta call your own number. You're number 1. Drew's out of the back. She's number 1.
Terrific set also. Torres doing a nice job moving forward and is able to find that back row swing again from Danny Drews. She's been so good. Only stopped once, and it happened to be at a very critical time, but she has been unstoppable out of the back row.
Plummer, that one not quite as pretty, but she'll take it. Drews with 26 kills, Plummer with 22 kills. Grace off the block. What a tough one to handle. And again,
once you see, you've got to know what each player you're setting likes and how to best set them up, and you've got to locate it perfectly.
4th kill for Holly Campbell. Serve from Gray as that one goes over. And the point will go to Utah. Double contact called against Stanford.
A missed opportunity there for Stanford as they thought that Utah would try to save that ball. It just was an overpass, but this is where Utah has got to make a run. Stanford's getting close to way too far ahead to come back.
Plummer, that time, Kerber right there to send it back over. Big block.
Kerber jumping out, lining up perfectly on Plummer to shut that down.
Both teams have blocked well tonight. Fitzmaurice on the slide, it's good. 15 kills for Adriana Fitzmaurice. I really believe that the biggest difference in the shift in this one to Stanford has been their serving. I just think they have served so tough.
I think it's definitely hard. When you can establish control from behind the service line, it keeps you on the offensive the entire play. Even as a rally goes longer and longer and longer, you stay on the offensive.
Pancake from
Utah fans, it's time to let them hear you. Right now, make some noise. Here we go.
Catherine Plummer back to serve. Again, just the pass and the set, just not allowing Utah to really get into system, and they got a break as they got the free ball opportunity and the kill from Kerber.
Kenzie Kerber, a beautiful high swing over the block, but her hips hurting a little bit. You can see it's wrapped. She's kind of walking a little tenderly.
Her 8th kill of the match. McClure. Megan yet able to save that one. Danny Drews tries to go line, and they're not going to call touch, and they're going to say it's out. Danny Drews hits it pretty hard as well.
She does, and she's been so good all night. So much on her shoulders to carry this team. 26 kills for Drews.
Oblad trying to slide, but the block sends it right back, and Stanford is 2 points away from getting out of this one.
Good block from McClure. You could see her line up and shut down that cross court. Good position.
Van Komen back in to play some back row. Drews, there's Hintz. What a save. Oblad. McClure again takes some off. Megan Yet with the pancake, keeps it going. We've seen some great rallies in this one. And Fitzmaurice tools it off the block, and we are at match point.
And the offensive power for Stanford, coupled with the great defense, just has been too tough for the Utes as they continue to attack, starting from that first serve.
Match point number 1 with Hintz back to serve. Drews into the block. Oblad straight down to Morgan Hintz. A little something on that one from Berkeley Oblad.
Oblad, the 5th-year senior, such a great leader on this Ute team. They're so happy she came back for this year.
Match point number 2 for Stanford. It's Morris with the tip. Utah. Did she get the touch? They'll say no, as Zoe Weatherington tried to tool it off the block, and instead Stanford takes set 4 and the match, 25-14.
You know, it's interesting to watch how patient Stanford was from the very beginning. Things weren't necessarily going their way. Utah came out absolutely